I start my day with love. When I start my day with love, that's what I get more of, is love. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. I start my day with love. When I start my day with love, that's what I get more of, is love. I start my day with love. When I start my day with love, that's what I get more of, is love. I choose love, love, love. Love, love, love. I choose it, love, love, love. Love, love, love. I start my day with peace. When I start my day with peace, I feel that sweet release of peace. I start my day with peace. When I start my day with peace, I feel that sweet release of peace. I choose peace, 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 peace. I feel it, peace, 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 peace. I choose peace, peace, peace. I start my day with joy. When I start my day with joy, everything I do is infused with joy. I start my day with joy. When I start my day with joy, everything I do is infused with joy. I choose joy, joy, joy. I feel it, joy, joy, joy. Every day it's joy, joy, joy. I'm choosing joy, joy, joy. I start my day with love. I start my day with peace. I start my day with joy, and I feel that sweet release. I start my day with love. I start my day with peace. I start my day with joy, and I feel that sweet release. I start my day with love. I start my day with peace. I start my day with joy, and I feel that sweet release. I start my day with love. I start my day with peace. I start my day with joy, and I feel that sweet release. I start my day with love. I start my day with peace.
Good morning, Celebration Center for Spiritual Living, and welcome to yet another wonderful Sunday morning. I am so happy to be here with all of y'all, and I'm also really happy that we're virtual today because the weather is super dreary and gross, and it's really lovely that y'all all get to just stay home in your PJs, drinking your tea or your coffee or your hot chocolate or whatever it may be, and enjoy the Sunday service and one another. I invite you to shout out and say hello in the chat and let us know that you're here. Say good morning so that we can see, all of our community together. If you don't know who I am, my name is Reverend Chris Ashley. I'm the senior minister here at Celebration Center, and we're physically located in Falls Church, Virginia, in the Washington, D.C. area. However, as y'all know, we are truly a global community with everything that we are offering. We are committed to have everything that we are offering be both virtual and when we are in person, so that way it is so easy for all of us to come together from no matter where we are geographically located. This morning, we have a very exciting service. We're going to continue our deep dive into the inner life and Howard Thurman. And as we do that, we are going to be talking today about pause and find the cause. I will be giving the message today. Irina Kurashevitz is our practitioner on platform, and our music director this morning, Lynn Hollyfield, will be providing the music. I'm so excited to hear what both of them have to offer this morning. So there is a lot. It is a big day. So if you are here with us, I'm very grateful because it is Happy Valentine's Day, and today is actually Galentine's Day, which is this, all the single ladies get together with all their friends and go out. So happy Galentine's Day, happy Valentine's Day tomorrow. This sort of idea of honoring and celebrating love in our lives, whatever type of love that may look like, whether it's romantic or platonic or just self-love or the love of the universe, whatever that may be. It is also Super Bowl Sunday. This is the latest that the Super Bowl has ever been held in the history of the Super Bowl, February 13th. And it actually usually falls very close to my birthday, if not on my birthday, because it's usually the first week in February. But this year, it is today. So I don't know who you're rooting for, but go Cincinnati Bengals and go Los Angeles Rams. Whatever you want. I am not picking sides this morning. And I hope that y'all enjoy the Super Bowl. It's going to be an awesome halftime show. I'm super excited about it. And, of course, the commercials every year. There's always one or two really good ones. So whatever you are up to today, whatever you are celebrating, I'm so glad that you're here joining us. We do have one announcement. We are offering a new member Sunday on February 27th, the final Sunday in the month, this month. And so we would love, if you are interested in becoming a member of the center, please reach out to me and let me know. The only obligation or commitment to becoming a member is that you take a Science of Mind Foundation course. It doesn't even have to be taken here. So if you took it at another center, or you've had it in the past, you are welcome to become a member here at our center. If you have not had a Science of Mind 101 course, we will be offering one on Wednesday, February 23rd from 5:30 to 8:30. And that will give you, I will be leading that class. That will give you a chance to learn all about Science of Mind and also ask any questions that you may have. You can even try to play Stump the Minister. So put that on your calendar. And if you are interested in becoming a member, please get in touch with me. You can call the center and leave a message with Ingy, or you are welcome to email me at revchris@celebrationcenter.org, and I will drop that in the chat in just a minute. And so now I invite you to recite our vision with us, reminding us all of the direction that we are headed in together. We are celebrating spirit within and knowing the oneness of humanity. Yes, we are, and so it is. And welcome, Lynn, for an opening song.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm going to share a song that's written by Eli Lev, and this is called Chasing Daylight. Well, there's something about the weather when we're out on our own. Something about the path that leads us home. We don't need a reason, just a change of season, following the feeling in our soul. Now that you're with me, we're chasing daylight and we're soulfully alive. Well, I can't believe the world's still turning, 'cause we're hopelessly aligned. You, me, and the sunrise. Well, we're miles away from the end of day, and the wind walks by our side. We'll fly through the rivers, we'll swim through the sky. Nothing can bring us down when it's you and I. Now that you're with me, we're chasing daylight and we're soulfully alive. And I can't believe the world's still turning and we're hopelessly aligned. You, me, and the sunrise. You, me, and the sunrise. And oh, this golden road leads us on forever home. Now that you're with me, we're chasing daylight and we're soulfully alive. And I can't believe the world's still turning and we're hopelessly aligned. You, me, and the sunrise. You, me, and the sunrise. You, me, and the sunrise. Oops.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. My name is Irina Krashevich and I'm a practitioner here. And of course, Lynn's opening songs are always like a prayer. It's so beautiful, so full of light. And as a practitioner, it's my honor to welcome all of you, people who used to come here, who come here, and people who are new. So please, like Reverend Chris has already asked you, if you would like to know who you are and where are you from, just post something in the comments. Or you can directly email to the center and tell us who you are and what would you like to know about us. As I said, I am a practitioner, a licensed practitioner here at the center, and practitioners dedicated to change the consciousness of the world with prayer. Our philosophy, Science of Mind, is based on the conviction that prayer works. And that's what practitioners do. We pray. There is a specific way of praying in Science of Mind. We don't consider that any other way of praying is wrong. It's just our way of prayer is what Ernest Holmes came up to with, and we're absolutely happy to do it. We know that it works, it helps people, it changes life, it changes the circumstances, it changes the consciousness of the world, it shifts it. So with that, I invite you to give us this opportunity to pray with you. Please fill in the form that you can see on our website. The link is right under my face, the celebrationcenter.org, prayers, or you can email it to prayer@celebrationcenter.org. Practitioners will collect your prayer request and we will be praying with you for a week. We have a very, very powerful group of people who are dedicated to come together every Monday and pray on all the prayer requests. I can assure you that it's absolutely confidential. No one but the practitioners and our minister will read your prayer request. You also can contact a practitioner and have a practitioner session. So please let us know how we can be in use for you. So today's reading is from the founder of our philosophy, Ernest Holmes. The book is called The Spiritual Universe and You. When we are confused and trying to go in 40 directions at once, which is the most psychologically and physiologically disintegrating and devastating thing anyone can do, we should turn definitely from the confusion and get by ourselves. Then come to the realization of a divine presence and the strength and stability of its inward peace. Recognize that there is but one life, that life is God, that life is within us, and there is no confusion in that life. And begin to identify with that life. Identification is one of the great words in our language. We could say, I am one with God's peace. There is no confusion in me. At the center of my being, there is peace. There is nothing to be afraid of. At the center of my being, the eternal peace forever dwells in security, and I have no fear. And I invite you to take a breath and relax. And just take that moment to set aside all the busyness of the day, all the wariness of the world, and just simply be present. And from this stillness, I speak the word of truth, as I know that Spirit is, that God is, that peace is, that love is. And I know that Spirit fills every corner, every space, every cell of the universe and beyond. I know that there is no limitation for Spirit, as it is the essence of everything, as it is life itself. And there is only one life. And as I recognize that there is only one life, that it is God's life, I recognize that this is my life, that I am who I am, and I'm one and inseparable from the divine. And from this oneness, I recognize oneness for everyone who is hearing me now. And I recognize the oneness of those who will never hear me. I just know for everyone their oneness with the divine. And I recognize uniqueness of every being. I recognize the free expression of divine qualities right here, right now. And I know peace. I know love. I know joy. I know clarity, wisdom, wholeness for everyone. I know that the word of truth is so powerful, as this is life, the word of life. Nothing can stop it. as nothing can stop life. And I declare perfect relationship. I declare perfect employment with abundant compensation. The place where people freely express their skills, their talents. I declare art, the beauty of it, the healing energy of art. I declare healing, as I know that healing is revealing. And I declare this healing peace from within and around me. And I know wholeness. I know abundance, prosperity for everyone, as I know that God is the answer. And I'm simply grateful, deeply, deeply, deeply grateful to know what Spirit is, what God is. I fill my heart with gratitude, knowing that all these beautiful qualities belong to me and to the world right here, right now, and forever. It can be changed. I'm grateful to know that if there is any void that we see, there is no. God is always there. Spirit fills it with more love, more presence, more joy. I'm grateful to recognize that. I'm grateful to feel it and to live it. And I simply release my words into the law, knowing that it is all done in the perfect mind of God, and it is mine. Just simply let it be. And this is so, and so it is.
Going to share In the Stillness by Karen Drucker. In the stillness of this moment, there is peace, there is peace. In the stillness of this moment, there is peace, there is peace. And I rest, and I trust, and I breathe, and I know that in the stillness of this moment, there is peace. In the stillness of this moment, there is joy, there is joy. In the stillness of this moment, there is joy, there is joy. And I rest, and I trust, and I breathe, and I know that in the stillness of this moment, there is joy. In the stillness of this moment, there is love, there is love. In the stillness of this moment, there is love, there is love. And I rest, and I trust, and I breathe, and I know that in the stillness of this moment, there is love, there is love. I feel love, we are love.
Thank you so much, Lynn. It took me, I had to jump up really quick because I was just so enjoying being in that stillness in that moment. What a perfect introduction to this idea of pause and find the cause. I think I know for myself what ends up happening so often is that those moments that I really need to pause are the moments that I feel like I need to hurry up and make a decision or hurry up and take some action. And instead, when I kind of just stop for a second, then all of a sudden the action moves from this sort of frantic, oh my God, what am I going to do? I have to do something, to, okay, what is mine to do in this moment? What is actually the action that I need to take in this moment? And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. And we're talking about it, I did this deep dive into Howard Thurman. I'm really doing this deep dive this whole month. And this week, I chose to do this deep dive into, he took a trip to India in October of 1935 to April of 1936. And he led a delegate of 4 African American people to India and traveled all over the country speaking, and he gave over 135 lectures in over 50 cities in these 6 months. And it was called the Pilgrimage of Friendship. And it was so fascinating to me to read about this time in India. He ended up having a meeting with Mahatma Gandhi and just learning more about his own process and his belief system and where he got the ideas that he got. It was profound. And so I'm going to be telling y'all more about that today. But before I do that, I actually want to give you a reading from Howard Thurman. So I'm actually reading from a book, y'all. It's not on my tablet. This is from his book, The Inward Journey. And this is actually not a book that he wrote, but rather a collection of essays, sermons, poems, excerpts from other books that he wrote that were compiled and edited together of all of his deepest work. He was truly a mystic. And so I highly recommend this book because it's all of these snapshots of his beliefs and his ideas and his thoughts and his deepest yearnings and the way that he just kind of showed up and moved through the world in this really profound and beautiful way. And so this morning, I'm going to be reading a passage called More Loving in My Heart. He says, I want to be more loving in my heart. I want to be more loving. Often there are good and sufficient reasons for exercising what seems a clean, direct resentment. Again and again, I find it hard to hold in check the sharp retort, the biting comeback, when it seems that someone has done violence to my self-respect and decent regard. How natural it seems to give as good as I get, to take nothing lying down, to announce to all and sundry in 1,000 ways that no one can run over me and get away with it. All this is a part of the thicket in which my heart gets caught again and again. Deep within me, I want to be more loving, to glow with a warmth that will take the chill off of the room which I share with those whose lives mine touch mine in the traffic of my goings and comings. I want to be more loving. I want to be more loving in my heart. It is often easy to have the idea in mind, the plan to be more loving, to see it with my mind and give assent to the thought of being more loving. This is crystal clear, but I want to be more loving in my heart. I must feel like loving. I must ease the tension in my heart that ejects the sharp barb, the stinging word. I want to be more loving in my heart, that with unconscious awareness and deliberate intent, I shall be a kind, a gracious human being. Thus, those who walk the way with me may find it easier to love to be gracious because the love of God, which is increasingly expressed in my living. I want to be more loving in my heart. That passage spoke to me because I think at the heart of it, that's what we all want. We all want to be more loving. And yet he so beautifully expresses that often it is so much easier to just jump to resentment or jump to stinging words or jump to this idea of not assuming positive intent, assuming the worst about someone. And so what I have found is in order to be more loving, it really requires of me a lot of pauses, a lot, like way more than you would ever expect. And the way, I think that there's two different ways in which we can pause. We can pause in the moment. Something happens and we stop and we just take a second, even if it's just a split second. But the other way that we can pause is in intentionally and consciously living our life in such a way that these pauses are infused into our lives. And I think that both types of pausing are required. And so I know that I'm not going to say that I'm always perfect at it, but I know that I attempt to pause in both of these different ways. So y'all often hear me say, anybody who's talked to me one-on-one has heard me say that I am not a morning person and I don't do morning meetings. My earliest meeting that I will schedule is at 11 a.m. And I laugh because I have this picture of myself in my mind that I am not a morning person, and yet I'm generally up usually between 4:30 and 6:30, and then I go back to sleep for a couple hours, but I'm usually up by 7:30, 8 o'clock at the latest, so that's reasonable. It's not super early, but that's a reasonable hour. But I like to have this slow wake up, this slow time, this kind of long pause before I have to enter into the world and begin doing things and begin taking action in my life. And so I have this long pause. I usually drink tea, I read, I lay in bed and think a lot. I meditate. I have a whole journaling practice that I do. I schedule out and set my intentions for the day, all of these things that I do. And to me, this is this long pause. And I don't say this anymore, but I used to say that without this time in the morning, I'm not a very nice person. But now I think I'm generally pretty kind. Maybe not always nice, but I'm generally a kind person. And yet, when I have this time to just pause and be with myself and be with that divinity within myself in this sort of profound and deep way, when I have that, I'm so grounded and rooted and reminded of the truth that it's easy to then go about my day, regardless of what may come up or regardless what is said or what challenges I face or anything, who I interact with, what the day holds, how challenging the project is, whatever it may be. And so this deliberate, intentional taking time every day to pause, I think is so profoundly important to our health and well-being, our mental, physical, spiritual, emotional health and well-being. And then there's the other type of pause, the what did you just say to me? Pause, the stop in the moment and say, hold up, I need a second here. I need a second to regroup because what? Because my heart wants to be more loving, but I do not want to be more loving in this moment, right? And so that pause is the pause, I think that's probably a lot harder to master, right? That's the pause that requires us to just take a breath and to maybe even step back, just one little step, and to say, okay, here's my initial gut reaction. Here's the way that I would like to react to the situation. And instead, I'm going to choose to stop and breathe and respond to this situation in a conscious and intentional way, stepping into action. And I really feel like breath is the key here. Because breath, it is hard. Eckhart Tolle says, being aware of your breath forces you into the present moment, the key to all inner transformation. Whenever you are conscious of the breath, you are absolutely present. You may also notice that you cannot think and be aware of your breathing. Conscious breathing stops your mind. And so when we have this moment of shock, let's call it, when something happens, if we can just breathe and take that deep breath and become consciously aware of our breathing, it stops that train of thought before it runs off course down a mountain and into a valley, into a disaster, right? And from there, we can look at the situation with more of a objective viewpoint. And we can say, you know what? I know, in a lot of situations, we know the person, right? We know the person if it's an interaction in which they say something that is jarring or upsetting. I know this person. And what I know about this person is that they love me. And so I'm going to assume positive intent here. I'm going to pause and I'm going to assume positive intent. And I'm going to just say, huh. Or I'm going to ask, tell me more. Or what do you mean? Or that really hurt my feelings. Whatever it is that we might say. But instead of lashing out and just reacting, we are then responding from a conscious place. Now, Howard Thurman and Gandhi, they had about a 3-hour meeting in 1936 during Howard's pilgrimage of friendship. And I did not know this before I started this deep dive. I'm sure other people knew this, but that Gandhi and his movement of nonviolence in India and overthrowing British rule and colonialism out there really informed and directed the civil rights movement here in the United States. And so, as you know, as I said last week, Howard Thurman was one of the key mentors of Martin Luther King Jr. And Martin Luther King Jr. was all about this idea of civil disobedience, but not with violence, but rather with direct action. All of this came from this meeting between Howard Thurman and Mahatma Gandhi. I did not know that. This was profound to me. And so in this meeting, they talked a lot about this idea of nonviolence. And y'all know we have the season of nonviolence. We're in it right now. It is between Gandhi's assassination and Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination. And it is 40 days of a season of nonviolence. And I have heard, and I have done in the past, I have taken this idea of nonviolence and I've said, oh, well, here in Science of Mind, we don't do non, right? We don't do this idea of not something. We stand for something and against nothing. And so we've called it a season of peace. But when I did this deep dive into what Gandhi meant by this idea of nonviolence and the conversation that he had with Howard Thurman, this idea of nonviolence can't be summed up with another word like peace because they don't actually mean the same thing. So in Sanskrit, the word for nonviolence is ahimsa, ahimsa, ahimsa. And this idea of nonviolence then birthed the movements that Gandhi continued called satyagraha. And satyagraha is another Sanskrit word, and it is satya is this idea of God or truth. And so satyagraha is really is firmness to the truth. So it's holding firm to truth. And so from ahimsa, this idea of nonviolence is holding firm to the truth. Now stay with me here because there was so much information. in this idea of nonviolence, and Gandhi actually said when he was looking for a word in English to mean this idea of ahimsa, that he actually regrets using nonviolence because people tend to think that it's this non-action. And what he actually says is that you cannot be passively nonviolent. That instead, it's this way of stepping up and seeing the world, of being consciously aware of what is going on. And he even equated it to Paulinian love. Now, Howard Thurman is Christian, right? He was a Baptist minister. And so Paulinian love in 1 Corinthians 13:13, I know I never quote the Bible, y'all. Write this day down in history. It says, "And now these three things remain: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love." And so that love, it's the agape love that we've talked about before, that sort of, that unconditional love of God to itself, of the universe giving to itself. That love, that is what is meant by nonviolence. That is what this term ahimsa means. And so he didn't want to use the word love because in English, love is used for so many things, right? I love my fiance, Ryan. I love them with my whole heart. I love Ivor. I love all of you. I love my congregation. I say I love y'all to y'all when I hang up the phone with y'all because I do. I deeply, profoundly love y'all. I also love macaroni and cheese, and I love spinach, and I love broccoli. I've been on this big broccoli kick lately. And, I love all of these things. And so Gandhi specifically didn't choose this word love because there's so many different things that it could mean, right? And so instead, he chose this idea of nonviolence because it is this welling up of truth, this conscious intention in stepping out into something. And yet, truly, it is this force of truth in the world. He said, a force which is more positive than electricity and subtler and more pervasive than the ether. And so for Gandhi, ahimsa, this idea of nonviolence was actually the force that was running the world. And what was really interesting is that in these conversations that they had, and then it talked about this idea in some of the articles that I read of how deeply and profoundly Howard Thurman was a mystic, and how his idea of God so closely aligns with this idea of capital T truth, that this idea of nonviolence and God were synonymous. And so part of that conversation, Thurman asked Gandhi, is nonviolence from your point of view a form of direct action? And Gandhi replied, it is not one form, it is the only form. Nonviolence does not exist without an active expression of it. And indeed, one cannot passively be nonviolent. And so I don't even know that I really have answers for y'all today because this term, this understanding of moving through the world, coming from this place of spirit to such a profound way that we are actively nonviolent, actively showing up as God, actively showing up as the truth. I'm not even sure that I fully get it, y'all, to be quite honest. And so this is something that has been working me, and it's something that we're going to continue to talk about. And look at through this lens. I think it is so profound to also understand and know that at the time that Gandhi was coming up with this satyagraha and moving into this form of nonviolent direct action, that there was so much violence happening around him. And the same thing with Howard Thurman. His grandmother was born into slavery, and he used to read the Bible to her every day, which is how he fell in love with the Bible and with God and with the non-violently, regardless of what is coming at us, regardless of what is being brought forth or who is speaking or how it is being perceived, that instead we choose to hold firmly to the truth. Throughout the civil rights movement, throughout this time when Thurman and others were being told that they did not deserve equal rights, and yet standing in the truth, standing in the knowing that God is all there is, that this idea of nonviolence, ahimsa and satyagraha, is the only thing, this agape love, is so profound that it transcends all of that. And through that transcendence of these ideas, when we allow them to seep into our bones, when we allow them to be all that we are, then in doing so, we show up as the truth. We become married to this idea in a way that is inseparable. And all of a sudden, Gandhi had this idea that satyagraha would only work if it was observed in thought, word, and deed. So it's not enough to just show up to the outer world in this form of nonviolence while also still thinking whatever thoughts we may be thinking, but to be so committed to the truth of oneness, so committed to the truth of our own divinity and the divinity of every other person on the planet, that it is all that is known in our entire being, our thought, our word, and our deed, everything that we do. And so, once we have, and I think that takes a lot of pausing, a lot, and a lot of practice. And I don't know that anybody truly mastered it. You know, Howard Thurman spent his life mastering this. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. spent his life mastering this. Mahatma Gandhi spent his life mastering this. And yet, there have been only a couple of people that I would even think have mastered this. Jesus Christ, Buddha, these avatars of what divine consciousness on the planet as humanity can look like. And so we get to just continue to practice over and over and over again. We get to practice and practice and practice, pausing. Pause every time. Pause every time a thought that is unlike the truth of oneness, the truth of unity. Pause. Breathe through it. Allow ourselves return to the present. Allow ourselves to remember that at the heart of it, we are all one. And at the heart of it, we are all just supporting one another in various ways that look like all different kinds of things. And then we mess up again, and then we try again, and we pause. Or we lash out, or we react instead of respond, and that's okay. We stop and we pause. And I think this might even be the most important part of it all, is we practice ahimsa, we practice this idea of nonviolence. We practice it on ourselves as well. And so when we make a mistake, or when we lash out, or when we have these moments of anger or upset, or we don't act when we should act, or we act in the wrong way, or we make a mistake, or whatever it may be, that we practice this idea of nonviolence towards ourselves, and we forgive ourselves, and we breathe, and we pause, and then we start again, and we try again, and we try again. It's so beautiful that we have days and nights, because every morning is a reminder that we can always start fresh. Always, at any moment. We don't have to wait for the next day. But the next day is just simply that reminder that we always can start again. So, if you are willing, just like Howard Thurman was willing to bring this idea of nonviolence to the civil rights movement and inform really all of the direct action that was taken, this idea of nonviolence that he brought back to America is at the heart of the civil rights movement. It is that thing that we study and talk about and think about, this idea of holding so firmly to the truth. I invite you, if you are willing, to join me in that practice. Join me in that practice of nonviolence. Nonviolence in an active way. Nonviolence that is so committed to truth. Nonviolence that sees the oneness of all of humanity. Nonviolence that is willing to pause and to take a breath and to try again and try again and try again and try again. And so I invite you into prayer. So if you are willing to and can, I invite you to close your eyes or soften your gaze and just become aware of your breath for just a moment. Noticing how when you are completely present to your breath, that truly all other thought does stop. And that this pause is a return to our own truth. And what I know and affirm is that there is only one, this one infinite, absolute, eternal presence, this one thing that we call God, we call Spirit, we call divine, we call nonviolence, we call love, we call ahimsa. We call it by all of these different names. We call it truth. It is the only thing that is going on. It is all of consciousness, all of life, all of experience and expression, everything that is happening, everyone, everywhere, every when, every moment of time, every space, every response, and every reaction. All of it is this one infinite, absolute, eternal presence. And so because this is it, this is the only thing, I know that it must be each and every one of us. And as we stand firmly rooted in our own truth, we are becoming more and more aware of that which we already are. We already are the truth. We already are love. And so we simply open to that truth. We simply become more aware as we ground ourselves deeper and deeper and deeper into the knowing of the divine in every moment, every aspect of our lives. And so I know and affirm for each and every one of us this active nonviolence, this time of pausing and breathing and assuming best intent and then moving forward in action, clearly, firmly rooted in our own truth and the truth of all that is. Choosing again and again and again to practice ahimsa, to practice satyagraha, to practice nonviolence. Knowing that each and every one of us are standing firm in our own divinity. And I am so grateful for Celebration Center. I am so grateful for these truths that well up from within us. And I am so grateful for each and every person and their purpose and action, the uniqueness of each and every individual as we come together to practice this agape love that is so deep and so profound that we don't even have words for it. I am so grateful that we are showing up with one another, committed to the truth, committed to ourselves and to each other. And so I simply release my word. I let it go. I know it is done as I have spoken, and so I can simply pause, breathe, surrender, allow, as we say together, and so it is. And so for Tell Us this week, I invite you to type into the chat, if you feel so led, to write into the chat, how you will practice ahimsa, how you will practice nonviolence and this pausing this upcoming week. How or where or with who, how are you going to practice ahimsa throughout this next week as we invite Lynn back for another song?
All right. Thank you. That was beautiful. I'm thinking. I'm going to share a song by Sally Barris. It's called Standing Still. You're moving and shaking, fixing and breaking, even when I can't see it. You're listening and healing, molding and freeing someone like me. I was running in circles, jumping the hurdles, just trying to climb that hill. But I feel your love around me now that I'm standing still. And you're breathing and filling, renewing and building my broken spirit. You talk to me, shout at me, speak right out loud to me, even when I don't hear it. I was so busy searching, painfully hurting for a dream I could not fill. But I see how you bring it to me now that I'm standing still. And I hear your voice again, my old familiar friend. Tell me where love begins, where it begins. And I hear your voice again, my old familiar friend. Tell me where the struggle ends and where love begins, where real love begins. You're moving and shaking, fixing and breaking, even when I can't see it. You're listening and healing, molding and freeing someone like me. I was running in circles, jumping the hurdles, just trying to climb that hill. But I feel your love all around me now that I'm standing still. Yes, I feel your love all around me now that I'm standing still.
So much, Lynn. I was over here bouncing around dancing. So, to answer the question, how will you choose to practice ahimsa, nonviolence, and pausing this coming week? Tim says, I practice ahimsa in everything I do and say. Terry says, I really appreciated the distinction of nonviolence as active. I will have plenty of chance to use that this week. Harrison says, let go of judgment and reaction and accept all and myself for how we are all showing up using I statements instead of labels. Thank you, Harrison. Jen Fay says, I will pause this week and think of ahimsa, cutting myself some slack when I haven't yet done what I intended to do, knowing I'm doing the best I can moment to moment. And Harrison adds, and see the humor in it all too. I love that, Harrison. Thank you. So thank you. I invite you to continue to think about this question of how we can practice active nonviolence in our lives in every moment and every day with every interaction that we have. And so this is the time in our service for our gifts and our tithes. And so I invite you to remember that your very presence, even sitting at home, even not here in this building, your very presence is a gift to this community. And I personally am so grateful for all of the love, the time, the talent, the treasures, the gifts that each and every person brings, even the people that I don't even know are watching, that your presence, merely lending your observation to this community, is a gift to the community. And so if you do have a monetary gift, we are a donation-based community, and all donations are tax deductible. You can go to celebrationcenter.org and click on the Give button, or go to celebrationcenter.org /donate, and both will take you to our Secure Breeze website where you can give through ACH transfer or a debit or credit card. You are also welcome to mail in a check or money order, or call us if you have another donation that you would like. And so now I just invite you to bring in all that you are. Bring it to your heart, all that you give, as we say our offertory affirmation together. I open my heart to give and receive the blessings that our spirits promise to me. As I do, the entire universe conspires to give me an abundant life, and I open to accept it. And so it is. And so now I invite Irina to bless our gifts and offerings.
And I invite us all to celebrate one source, as there is no source any but God. God is the source of all abundance, of all prosperity, of all love. And I know that the Celebration Center is one and inseparable from this flow. And everyone who gives receives, as this is the law of life, the law of circulation. And I know for everyone within the Celebration Center and beyond, that we are all in a divine circle of giving and receiving. And I declare more music, more laughter, more wisdom in our hearts as we give. And I know generosity and love for all who gives, as I feel it, that that's the place that everyone is giving from. And I know that it comes back, multiplied abundantly. And I simply say, thank you. And so it is.
Okay, I'd like to do this closing song. This is one about love. It's called Love and You. You, sitting out alone in search of a home for your heart. You checking off your list of everything you want for you. Love comes in all shapes and sizes. Love has no color or shame. Love is always there beside you. True love doesn't have a name. The past keeps tapping on your shoulder. Hurt has hitched a ride too. Just stick 'em in your suitcase. And remember, it's what's made a sweeter you. Love knows no perfection. Love sees the truer side of you. Love knows no isolation. Love is seeking you. You can never see tomorrow, just the scattered pieces and missing parts. But you can be a believer that love can heal a broken heart. Love is ever mending. Love sews a golden thread. Love pulls pieces together. Love, love, love is all love says. You are never alone in search of a home for your heart.
And so now I invite each and every one of us to root ourselves in the truth, stepping out in love and practicing this idea of active nonviolence in everything that we think, we say, and we do. And so it is. And now I invite you to join us for our community time on Zoom right after this. And we are putting the link in the chat now. And all are welcome to join us, whether you have been to this community 100 times or you have never been before. We invite you to join us on Zoom now. I love you all.